Okay, we are finishing Shaar Beis Parak Yud Ches. So what I'd like to do is just really read it inside and learn it as much as we can without too much commentary, and then go over the Hagah. We should be able to do all that in the next 40 minutes. So Parak Yud Ches, V'hidei. So in other words, first all of the big print and then all of the little print. And this is somewhat of a summation of the whole Shaar Beis. So we're finishing just in time, finishing the season here. Just want to tell you that on Sunday, my wife broke her arm very bad, like fracture, number of fractures. So on Sunday morning, I'm taking her to the hospital for surgery. So I won't be here Sunday morning. So I apologize. We started reading this. Let's read it again. Achar shekvar urgul v'sedura lo tfulasai. Now that we've learned the whole Shaar Beis and we know what's going on with tefillah, we're organized. B'hiskashrus hashloisha b'chinos nefesh ruach neshama sheb'klolis nafshay. And we're taking our three aspects, our nefesh, our ruach, our neshama, the three parts of who we are, and we're lining them up. We're lining them up. In other words, we're starting with our nefesh, which is, it really starts with our goof, but that's not part of it because we're going to learn when you're davening, you're mispashik min haguf. You leave your goof behind when you daven. Your goof is almost not there. You're not supposed to feel your goof when you daven. And here we're going to have some very practical, for lack of a better word, meditational training in davening here. But so it doesn't even bring the goof, but it starts with the nefesh. Nefesh, as we learned, is our ratzon. Nefesh is who we are, our psychology, our personality. That's the nefesh. Ruach is the segue between the neshama. Hashem's giving us the neshama. Ruach, vayipach ba'apad, that Hashem blew into us. That's our spiritual energy. Ruchnius, our spiritual energy. And then our neshama. The idea is to get it all aligned. Our nefesh should be aligned with our ruach with our neshama. Our ratzon is all one thing. In other words, our ratzon is not coming from outside of us. I want to have that piece of cake. Our ratzon is coming from our neshama. What is my purpose in the world? It's a whole different place. A whole different place. What is my real ratzon? And I try to make my ratzon compatible as much as I'm able as a human being. I'm trying to make my ratzon compatible to the ratzon of Hashem. And important to say, like, what's the Ratzon Hashem? Everybody walks around saying, what's the Ratzon Hashem? The Ratzon Hashem is simple. He wants me to do what I was created for. Like it's not a complicated question. It's an easy question, complicated answer. But the easy answer, the easy question, the easy answer is that Hashem created me for a purpose. I'm trying to line it. You'll never know if you don't do this alignment. You'll never know what the Ratzon Hashem for you is unless you touch your neshama. Unless you reach your neshama, then even higher. That's the only way you can know. There's no way of knowing it. You can talk to psychologists, you can talk to therapists, you can talk to coaches, you can look in the mirror, you can take aptitude tests online, you can do everything. You're not going to know what your purpose of creation is. You have hints by your talents and things that you can do, but you're not going to know unless you're in touch with your neshama. This is the key. And so once we're davening, biskashrus hashloisha b'chinas na'arad shebeklolis nafshay. Al yedei ha'oisiyos u'nekudas v'taimim shebechol teva. And we're using the tools of the words of tefillah. What do you need tefillah for? The tefillah is tools because, as we said, besides for the translation of the words, every word has an ois, which is like the nefesh. Every word has nekudos, how it's pronounced, which is like the ruach. And every word has the tabim, the niggin, which is like the neshama. We learned about this. So I'm taking those three things and I'm applying it to me. There's an interesting phenomenon which I've noticed for years, and that I finally found it in the Shalah HaKadosh. That sometimes when you're davening, with seemingly, like, a lot of times I think most people, I haven't taken a poll, but I imagine most people daven, so a lot of the time we're on automatic pilot, But it's interesting how sometimes, like your brain, okay, I mean, that's human. Sometimes your brain, like, stops at a certain place. And all of a sudden you're concentrating on those words. It seems to come from nowhere, like what happened, like you reached a snag in your hypnosis, and all of a sudden in your route, and all of a sudden you're concentrating on whatever it might be in Shemona Esrei. The reason says the Shalah, I've been thinking about this for years, but the Shalah says the reason for it is that that's the tefillah you need to say. That tefillah is that's your neshama saying, whoa, slow down. This is the ikar tefillah for you to say. So not that the other ones you shouldn't say, but sometimes all of a sudden you catch yourself and you say, you should stop and be misbonen into that, and that's where you do your hiskashrus of the neshamas.
Is that like really like from the Aisha, the neshama, or is it really like subconsciously what's really bothering you?
I think it's the neshama. I don't know that there's such a difference. In other words, you're not even paying attention to what you're saying, but the neshama is paying attention to the words that you're saying, and the neshama stops you. So there's this idea of the neshama stopping you. It's just fascinating phenomenon that we've all, slow down. This is important. This is a. So Yisatse b'Torah machshavtei v'kavanasei. I've heard Gedolim daven, and sometimes in the middle of a random tefillah, they're davening, like they're davening for the Amud, let's say, rather quickly. Then all of a sudden they stop and they give out a geshrei or a krechs or like something hits you. Okay, so once you've got it all together, now the trick is, and we've gotten to a very high madrega here, now we have to take everything that we are, our nefesh, our ruach, and neshama, and connect it to nishmasa l'nishmasa, to the higher neshama, which is outer body, which is not part of who we are or what we are, but it's the generator which is generating the neshama l'neshama. This is called in the lashon of Kabbalah the chaya yechida. So it's above us. This is or makif. It's above us, and we need to connect to it. The nishmasa l'nishmasa. If you get higher enough, I'm just going to give you a hint to the next paragraph. If you get high enough in this, if you can meditate high enough into what is, here's me connecting to this neshama. Once you get to the nishmasa l'nishmasa, which is by sherish neshama, two things happen. By sherish neshama. And apparently we could get there, otherwise what's he writing this book for? Once I attach to my sherish and neshama, two things become clear. One is, what am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be doing in this world? What's my purpose in this world? So as much as we can talk about it all day and not know, when you touch your neshama and neshama, it becomes clear. It's like a moment of clarity that one can reach daily. Clarity. The other thing is, when you reach the neshama and neshama, the sherish and neshama, over there, you also reach the neshama haklali. And the neshama haklali is where all the neshamas of Klal Yisrael are separating, but not separated. They're all still one. So, like everybody's trying to achieve achdus in this world. Everyone's trying to achieve this unity. Whatever we do, send shalach manos, whatever you do with unity. But there's not much of a chance for unity in this world, by a cynical, humble opinion. Not much of a chance. We're all different, and we all have different agendas. We all have egos. It's hard for there to be complete unity. Even a husband with a wife doesn't have complete unity. It's hard to have unity. I mean, it's unique. But the only chance we have is on this level, by the neshama l'neshama, the Knesset Yisrael, because we can get to a place where we all are, in fact, united, and that's something bigger than our egos, and it's something bigger than who we are and what we're doing here, and it's something bigger than it all, like the purpose of the whole world. One can have that realization while davening. And that you're not even going to see in the words, he says. That's how you date Tzirufei Oisias Shalateva B'Sherish Kedushas Elyon. That's scramble already, because there, the letters that you're saying in Shamayim have a different meaning. The way they come out to us, Ashrei Yoshvei Veisech or Rufeinu Hashem V'nei Rafei, that's how it comes down to us in our world of Gashmias. But those letters can be reassembled and respaced and redekuticized, afilu, in a higher world of Malachim. And again, in the world of Yitzhak, it's a different letters, just like I keep on giving the example of Moshe Rabbeinu, who wrote the end of the Torah He wrote the letters, but he didn't write what it said because he couldn't. Moshe Lav Badoi, he couldn't write Vayamas Sham Moshe. Moshe died. How could he write? He didn't die. He was alive. So he wrote the letters. Later on, Yeshua decoded it and descrambled it, and made it into straightened it out, right? And made it into letters that we can understand. It says the Nefesh Hachaim u'kishi yistabek b'zois hamadrega. If I can reach such a madrega, az yuchol hachshiv kilu eino bo'ilam klal. Listen to this. I could get to a place where I'm not part of this world. That's not a good place to be on a regular basis, otherworldly, but it is a good place to be when you're davening Shemona Esrei. Eino bo'ilam klal. Ubabeli yispatel be'edav mikol v'kol. This is not talking about yispatel. Is not talking about the yispatelus of anivus. We're talking about the yispatelus of, if you could imagine yourself moving out of this world and looking at the world from on top. You're the old man on the mountain, looking at the world, observing. You're observing the world, and everything goes into a whole different perspective. This is this is very practical davenology, very practical kavanah of davening, something that most kids don't learn in cheder, that you reach from your nefesh to your ruach to your neshama to the shirish haneshama, and from the shirish haneshama, I'm part of the whole Klal Yisrael, and I'm looking down, and in a sense, it's silly what's going on in this world. In a sense, it's very, very clear. Everything becomes very clear. As I say, the old man on the mountain looking down can see who's going to collide with who. He can see the differences that are going to happen. He's the wise one. And you become the wise one by being outside of this world and looking down. That's a moment of Shemona Esrei, a moment of meditation, which is clarity, 100% clarity on what's going on in my world. And if you could get there, first of all, you have a moment's vacation from all the craziness of this world. That unto itself is something, but it's a moment of clarity. It's a moment of wisdom, which we must try to achieve every time we daven. This is much higher than what we are sitting in this world like we are right now. And at this point, you're part of the whole Klal Yisrael. So there isn't even, you see, what divides us in this world? We're all divided. Everybody in the room is divided. Everybody in the world is divided. We're divided by ego. We're divided by goof. We're different. But we're divided by taiva. Everybody wants something different. But if you can pull away from the nefesh, ruach, neshama for the moment, maybe it's a moment, and you're in the neshama, so then nothing is divided. Nothing is dividing us. We're just one neshama. It only gets divided when you're down here. Every once in a while in this world there could be a moment of unity. When it's so clear that we need to win this war, or we're in this together. Every once in a while there's a gilui of achdus in this world. Vayichad Yisrael naged Har. We stood by Har Sinai. There's a moment of achdus. But b'derech klal, there isn't. You see, I'll give you a mashal about this. I'm just saying a mashal. Like, just because it's before the elections, right? So politics. Let's just talk about politics for a second. Politics is the antithesis of Shemona Esrei. Politics, it's such a. I was thinking about this yesterday. Like politics. Whether it's Israeli politics, which is particularly, Jewish, here they can't even wait till the whole term goes till they make an election. There's never been a full-term prime minister in this country. Like there's always elections in the middle, but got to call to elections. Why? What happens at a pre-election? I'm just saying a mashal is everybody comes up with his way or her way of solving the most complex problem in the world, which is the crisis in the Middle East, as an example. We got to kill them, we got to love them, we got to open the gates, we got to close the gates, we got to kill the leaders, we got to kill the people, we got to carpet bomb them, we not allowed to hurt them, we got to be doing political. That's politics. Politics is the ultimate in division. Politics is, I have to say something different than you.
Miflagot.
Huh? Miflagot, right. Peleg. Peleg. It's no, but that's that's just the nature. If you don't have anything new to say, like one of the guys that's running for prime minister now, like the whole time on him is, like was sagst du garnish? Like for 2 months he didn't say anything. Like when you're not going to say anything, don't like criticize somebody, call somebody a god, and with it come like all kinds of accusations of the other one, exaggerated, true, not true, who knows? The media. It's all, in other words, when you look at the political system, and there's a place for it. I mean, that's why Hashem created the world. That's the place of Malchus. But when you look at the political system, there is nothing more divided than it. The animal world is not as divided. The medical world is not as divided. The world of engineering is not divided. The world that's divided is the political world. It's per force divided. It's the opposite of Atzilus. It's the opposite of Atzilus, the ultimate in division. But we know at the end, Leiv Malachim Bashamayim, that what happens really is in the Knesset Yisrael up on top here is that's 100% Achdus. So ultimately, like the Malchus of Mashiach will come from here, not from here. It'll be so clear. Ro Kolabei Haaretz. It'll become so clear what is the right way to do. The debate is not bad. It could be a healthy debate as long as everyone's not busy throwing schmutz at each other, which has no relevance to the whole issue. But the debate can be healthy, but it's all division as opposed to achdus. So the only chance for achdus is up here. There should be this training that, especially during the time of heavy political, and everybody's weighing in and everybody agrees we should shoot them, we shouldn't shoot them. It depends what you're reading that day. Kill them, don't kill them. Bomb them, don't bomb them. It's all about the period, but what we're getting away from all that is we're climbing up this mountain to Atzilus when we're davening Shemona Esrei, and we're going to the Neshama. What is the Ratzon Hashem for this world? What should it really be? That's the Malchus of Mashiach, when the whole Malchus from up turns all the way to the Malchus of down. Yes? And to the end of the big letters. Lokach, Lachaim. Kavu Ache Knesses Hagdola Leiber Koida Baschalos Tfilas Ha'amida. And therefore, Chazal, when they wrote the Shemona Esrei, before we say Shemona Esrei, we say Hapasuk Adonai Svasai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tilasecha. We say a simple prayer that Hashem should open up our lips. And the reason for that is Ki Misha Zeichel Madrega Zu Beis HaTfilah. Because if somebody comes to this madrega, you're not part of this world anymore. So what are you talking? Dibur is part of being in the world of separation. I say this, you say that. If I get to a point, why is Shemona Esrei Amida silent Shemona Esrei, silent devotion? The answer is because there's only unity in silence. It's my Rebbe once said a very wise thing, not once, many times, but one wise thing that I remember is that he would have a chabura with the bachurim that were about to start shidduchim. Important for our children, it's important for us. They're about to start going out in shidduchim. And he says that sometimes you'll think to yourself, like, well, yeah, it seems to be working out okay. Like, we have good conversation, the conversation flows, it's going, So he says, the way it's a good shidduch is not if you could have an ever-flowing conversation and it always goes and it's not awkward. The way you know it's a good shidduch is that if you could be silent together for over 3 minutes and it's okay. It's not awkward. That means the two neshamas are connecting. See, it's the antithesis of the way we live, especially in the Western world. People are in an elevator for 60 to 90 seconds. They can't stand the quiet. You see everybody in the elevator. Warm enough for you? Cold enough for you? What's the weather looking like? Just shut up. It's impossible for people to handle silence. They can't handle the silence. They can't handle there's no talking. Why is it so awkward? Why should it be so awkward? And you look at this is a Western culture, because if you look at the Eastern cultures, they're very happy to stand quietly for for 10 hours, 12 hours and not say anything to each other. They could be ba'achdus. I'm not knocking the Jews. I'm just saying that, like we need to talk and talk and talk. So the way that you know that you're connected on the bechina of neshama is not when you can be talking together, it's when you can be quiet together. That's a gewaldige madrega. So, therefore, when we come to such a madrega before Shemona Esrei, Chazal were besake the tefillah of Adonai Sfasai Tiftach Ufi Agitel Esach Hashem. You have to open my lips. I'm not even holding on the madrega of talking any longer, because I worked my way up. I worked my way up from the karbanos to the, which is the world of Asiya, to the Psukim Zimra, which is the world of Yetzira. If you look at those Kabbalistic Sidurim, it says right on top, Asiya, Yetzira, you get to the world of Kriya Shema, Birchas Krishna, it's the world of Bria. Bria, it's all like it's philosophical. Bria means philosophical. We've got reached the Rosh, Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. So the world of Atzilus, which is the world of quietude. I'm standing before Hashem. And there I have to say a tefillah of Hashem Svasai Tiftach. Until you don't have to say a tefillah. So what does it mean? It means that, the one thing that Mesim can't do is they can't talk. It's quiet. The Beis HaKvaris is quiet if you go there. A quiet place. So the downside is, I actually find it very relaxing, Beis HaKvaris. Very quiet. You can have. I was saying I went to Har HaZeisim a couple of weeks ago, so you have the kever of Rav Kook and the kever of Rabbi Yosef Chaim Zonefeld, and they're okay together.
They're next to each other?
Yeah. The whole area is so, the Leshem, and this whole area is so politically confusing, but it's, Beis HaKvaris, it's still. So everything's cool.
It's a God's sense of humor over there, maybe.
Yeah. So the idea, I spoke about this, people looked at me like a little weird, but I'm going to say it again. Like death is a very comforting. Death is a very scary thing for most people because it's the unknown. I'm too young to die. People don't want to die. Normal people don't want to die. I don't want to die. Most people don't want to die. I remember Monsey, so that, there was, in my shoulder was a guy who got really sick, and he was really suffering, and he was in pain, and they were doing all kinds of stuff to him, hooked up to all kinds of machinery. And I went to visit him in the hospital with his brother, younger brother, and he says to me, "Rabbi, I'm telling you now, if I ever get like that, just shoot me." That's what he told me. So, P.S., 2 years later, he got like that. And he said to me, sell my house, take all my wealth, which was a lot, do everything, and just save my life. So I said, "Manny, you said I should shoot you." I said to him, he says, "No." He says, "We've got to fight for life. People want to live. People want to live." It's interesting. Yeah, when you're in the situation, you want to live. But the truth of the matter is that I think what we need to understand, at least philosophically, is that when we're alive, we're schlepping around this body, the guf, the nefesh, and it can become heavy, it can become burdensome, particularly when it's not healthy, and particularly when your ego gets too much involved. And then there's this idea of it is possible, and that's what Misa is. Everybody goes through this. The Indian of Misa is that you could just shed that and go into a calmer place. You could shed that and go to a place of shalom, in a place of achdus. There's a place where all of that burden of ego simply doesn't exist. I'm not, whenever I say this, people look at me like I'm a little bit strange, but I'm not starting a death cult here. I'm just simply saying that, death is part of life. I was reading somewhere that there's some guy, he was talking about like how snakes, how they die with dignity. So snakes, like, when they get sick, when it's time to die, like, they go to hospital and save me, help me, insurance. Yeah, no. So when it comes time for a snake to die, like big rattlesnakes, they have a certain place that they go. And like in India, for instance, the Indians know exactly where the place is, and they do a lot of meditation there. Certain place in a certain cave that the snakes go, time to die, they crawl into the cave, they sit there, and they die. So, time to die. Apella. You find Indian gurus sit there, they meditate on this. They're alive, they come in there, they look like everybody else, So it's like they go in there, it looks like Florida, God's waiting room. But the time to die, they die. And that's it. They die with dignity. It's time to die. My life is over. So it's like an interesting thing. Like, and then, by the way, they shed right before they die. They shed their skin. It's many of the minim of snakes, they shed their skin. But it's the idea of getting to a place where I'm not burdened by the goof. You don't have to die for this. This is the place of Mesiras Nefesh. This is the place of Shmona Esrei. With the Gedolei Ador, like Rabbi Akiva, or before him or after him, Hananya, Mishal, Vazarye, or even during the Holocaust, or the Israeli soldiers today. When you get to a place of, I'm ready to die for something, you don't have to die. But it's a very high madrega to be ready to die, because it means to say that, look, my goof is my goof. I believe in my neshama, and I'm willing to give up my goof for the sake of my neshama. I say when the Balatanya was in jail, so the Russian guy was trying to get information from him, and he held the gun to his head, and he said to him, I'm going to kill you if you don't tell me, because he felt that the rabbi knew a lot of the information that he wanted to know about Jews and Jewish places, and there was secret minyanim and things like that. So the Balatanya looked him in the eye, famous. The Balatanya looked him in the eye. He says, "This doesn't, the gun, the long Russian gun. This doesn't mean anything to me." He says, "It means something to you because you have one world." He says, "I have another one, and then another one, another one, 7." He said, "I have 7 worlds to go through. It just doesn't mean anything to me." There's a hashkafa of Rabbi Akiva was besimcha. Gedolim were besimcha that, okay, this is the time I have to shed. But Mesiras Nefesh doesn't have to be dying. Mesiras Nefesh could be when I'm willing to do something which is above my physical. And this could be reached every time one davens. Every single time one davens, one can climb out like a base and look down on my life. This is I can't emphasize enough what an important moment this can be, to look down on my life and to understand, what is going on, what's right, what's wrong. It's a moment of emes. It's a moment of emes.
Practically speaking, when does that happen? You're saying the words, then before you turn around, there's repetition. I mean, is it by the end when you finish saying the words, you're waiting for the
I think while you're saying the words, you're once you say Hashem Svasai Tiftach, it's not easy to automatically be there. The Hasidim Rishonim took an hour to get there. Right. But you get there to some level where I think Dafka, the beginning of Shemona Esrei, Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokeinu v'Elokei Avosenu, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elokei Yaakov, you're standing for your Oimid Lifnei Hashem. The whole world is behind me. And as you descend, you say, Ose Shalom B'Bromov. Okay, we made Shalom B'Bromov. Yasa Shalom Aleinu. Make Shalom in my life also. Yasa Shalom Aleinu. Those are the 2 worlds. Ose Shalom B'Bromov, the world up there. Now let's bring this all to the Tachlis. I don't know if I mentioned this last time or not. Maybe after everyone left, I said it to myself. But Rabbi Yaacov Haber has a kuntris. I think it's called Gvul Yavitz. It has a kuntris on Hilchos Kiddush Hashem. It's in the back of the siddur of the Yavitz. Hilchos Kiddush Hashem, fine print. And there he writes, I don't remember if he's the source or he quoted it from a source, but there he writes that if a person is standing in a matzav of Kiddush Hashem, meaning, let's say somebody would come over to us and say, like, bow down to this idol, accept Christianity, or I'm going to kill you right now. And you think about it for a second, you say, okay, go ahead and kill me. I'm not doing it. And then the guy pulls the trigger and the gun doesn't go off. Or the Americans liberate you, or something. You're free. But you were Moser Nefesh. Moser Nefesh. Think of the words. Nefesh. We're learning. We spent a half a year learning about Nefesh. You're Moser Nefesh. Moser Nefesh. Take my Nefesh. It's okay. My Nefesh is for my neshama l'neshama. So Rabbi Yaacov Haber writes that if a person has that experience, and you put yourself in a matzav where you've decided I'm going to be Moser Nefesh, you will never experience tsar again in your life. Just amazing. You'll never experience tsar. Now, it doesn't mean all of a sudden you're going to win the lottery. It'll cost you no tsar. Pardes, all these things, you were Moser Nefesh. You already put your Nefesh into a higher world. Once your Nefesh is in a higher world, doesn't mean you can't function like a human being. You will function, but you'll be a superb human being. Then you become a gadol. We have a case in the Gemara. Rebbe Elazar HaGadol was taken Lakardum. The Gemara says in Avodah Zarah Yud Zayin, I think, he was taken up Lakardum, he was going to be killed, and then somehow they didn't kill him. He would have been one of the Asar Malchus. And they didn't kill him, and from that point he started expounding unbelievable chachma that the world never knew before. If you look at the Pirkei de Rebbe Elazar, it talks about the chachma that he came out. It's a changed person because he's in the madrega of Mesiras Nefesh, madrega of Nishmasim l'Nishmasim. L'chein amar shem Adonai dafka, Adonai, which is interesting. Shusaid Knesses Yisrael. So let's not lose the thumb. Adonai svasai tiftach. Why that shame? Or I could ask the question differently. When we say a bracha, Baruch atah Adonai. Why? So the answer is that when we're making a bracha, we're working from up to down. Baruch, and I'm chazering the whole Nefesh Hachaim now. Baruch, blessed art thou. What do we say it means? Baruch, you are the makor of all the brachas. Atah, you're standing right in front of Hashem. There's no such thing in this world as who calls a king Atah? Who calls somebody Chashiv Atah? You're talking third person, your highness, the Rav, the this, the that. It's all in third person. You talk to Hashem, Atah. Because you're so close, so intimate with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You're right by the Bayan, Brecha. You're right by the Bayan, by the Makor. You could say Atah. And then Adonai. Adonai is where we accept upon ourselves that you're our master. And that's the Neshama Klali. That's before there's any division, there's the Shem Adonai. So when we say, and then Elokeinu, which is Midas Hadin in this world, Melech Malchus, Oilam. Melech Olam is Malchus. So you see what happened? We went from Atzilus to Bria to Yitzira to Asiyah. You following me? Not following me. When you start a bracha, you're saying, you're holding an apple in your hand. And you're saying that, let's start for the world of Atzilus, Hashem gave me this apple. The Makor HaBracha gave me this apple. So Baruch, this is where it came from. Atah, I'm close with you. Adonai, it's coming into this world, to a world which is grabbed by all of the neshamas. Elokeinu is where the division, Bereshis bara Elokim, so Shemai v'Saaretz, you're in the world of Yitzira. And now I have an apple in my hand. Melech Olam Malchus. Sha'akol Yabidvar. Bori Priya Eitz. Melech Olam is Malchus, which is Asiyah. Yeah. Malchus hi Asiyah. Lashon of the sefer Yitzir. Where everything is all divided up. You see, this is the difference that a regular person makes a bracha because they want to eat an apple. A tzaddik eats an apple because he wants to make a bracha. To make a bracha is to go through the whole You make a bracha carefully and closely, which you make 100 brachas a day, but maybe like if we try to make one properly, a bracha could take, one bracha to make properly could take 5 minutes, So it's okay. It's good for the it's good for the self-control. Hold the apple for 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Baruch atah Hashem. You can review the whole Nefesh Hachaim. So when we say Hashem Sfasai Tiftach, we're here. We're on Madrega 3, right? Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira. Shehusoid Knesses Yisrael. That's where all of the neshama is one neshama. By B'priyetz Chayv, Seif Shaar Bria, B'yitzah Pasuk Kodev Tefillah Shal B'Rabbi Seinu, all of Shehu Kitfila Arichta, V'Shau Shal B'Rabbi Seinu, Habispalo Tzarech She'ite Liboy L'Bala. This is what Chazal mean in Yevamos Kufhei Amud Beis, that when you daven, your lave should not be here, your lave should be there, L'Bala. Okay, Shapir Shabbat Yodeshav V'Chet Chasidim Shar Yishodim Shar Yishoid Achas. This was why the Chasidim Rishonim waited a Shah Achas, Kedei Sheyichavnu Asleep L'Bakayim V'Hu B'Vor. And that's the end of the Shaar Beis. And maybe we have 3 minutes. Let's do the first Hagah. L'chein Tiknu. And therefore they were Misakim. Now that we know this Yisoid of what we're supposed to accomplish in Shemona Esrei, Shetekef Achar Amida, right after Shemona Esrei, Yibsar Nafshay V'Ruchay V'Nishmasay L'Gabri L'Misa. Here you have it. After Shemona Esrei, we practice Mesiras Nefesh. Again, Mesiras Nefesh doesn't mean I go out of my way, the way it's usually translated. Well, what Mesiras Nefesh? It doesn't mean I go out of my way. Give somebody, a ride or something. That's not the Mesiras Nefesh. Nice, it's chesed. But it's not that. It's that I'm taking my nefesh and I'm saying it has a higher purpose. It's not necessarily for me. I'm fulfilling my purpose in this world, and it doesn't make a difference how I personally, physically feel. So after Shemona Esrei, we say Tachnu. B'pasuk Elecha Hashem Nafshi Yaso La'aloisi B'Banarano Shloisha Lavos L'Kol Yalchan Malchus Tatzilus. What's the kavana of Tachnun? So the kavana, in general, of bowing down or putting my head down, is my head is my brain, it's the nerve center of my whole body, it's everything that I am, right? A person is not defined generally by their hands or by their toes or even by their heart. Those are Caleb that make everything work. We're really walking heads. Everything is there to support the brain. You cut off a person's head, it's different than amputating. You can't amputate somebody's head. Like, see, Gracia Valayabus. Yeah. You can't amputate somebody's head. Your head is where you are. Now, I take everything that I am, which is Hashem designed to be on top of my body. You're not walking around with your head over here. It's on top of my body because it's the most important part of my body. And you see the most important day of the year is Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Chodesh. That which gives energy to the whole year, that which gives energy to the whole month. Right? That's what the Rosh is. And you take your head and you lower it. Baruch atah Hashem, or Modim anachnu lach. So interesting, when you thank Hashem, Modim anachnu lach, you lower your head. Because I'm saying everything that I am and everything that's important about me and all my different thoughts and all my different, ritzonos, I'm lowering it before your ratzon. Lowering your head is Mesiras Nefesh. Lowering your head is Mesiras Nefesh. In other cultures, not in the Jewish culture, I notice, probably for good reason, when somebody says thank you to somebody else, they bow their head. Thank you, sir. Jews don't bow down to anybody, just Hashem. But the concept is humble. We humble ourselves in front of Hashem. So we say Shemona Esrei, and then we immediately lower our heads in the Nefillas Hapayim. The Nefillas Hapayim. So the Nefillas Hapayim becomes the Indian of Misa. See, the question is, let's make sure we understand this. What am I doing in Shemona Esrei, and what am I doing in Tachnun? Did we already do that in Shemona Esrei, Chaim? So in Shemar Esrei, I'm becoming otherworldly. Meaning I'm taking my goof and I'm bringing it Lamala and I'm established to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I'm looking down on the world, looking down on creation. Nefilas Hapayim is I'm finished Shemar Esrei, Oisa Shalom B'Braybo for Yasa Shalom Aleinu, and I'm coming out with something. And what I'm coming out with, ironically, is the biggest level of Chaim, which is Misa. That I'm able to humble myself in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Nefilas Hapayim. So I'm bringing it down. See this, David? I'm bringing this down to the point of Malchus. I'm coming down. I've come for a landing, and my first move in my landing before I ascend completely and put my head back where Hashem designed it to be is Nefilas Hapayim. Nefilas Hapayim.
Why the emphasis on Hapayim?
Why Hapayim? I don't know. Why is it called Hapayim? Is it the face? You see the Chumash already. But the Chumash says, "Vayiplu al pleihem." After the Bais Korach, so the Bais Korach, so Moshe and Aaron, vayiplu es pleihem, vayiplu al pleihem, vayibru kela lekei haruches. Their immediate reaction. You know, what's our immediate reaction when somebody disses us and tries to take over our position in this world? We posture. And the immediate reaction of Moshe Aaron is vayiplu al pleihem. They humbled themselves because they understood, I think, they understood that our success against Korach or against any distraction is not going to be to fight it. It's going to be to lower ourselves and reconnect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu at this point. It was the very fact that what we're dealing here with Korach and Adasai and Moshe are a lot of ego flying around right here. Politics. Politics. That was politics, right? That was politics.
Was that just the context in response to Korach?
In other words, Korach was bringing everything down, as Chaim says, to a political place. Yeah, Lava hisnasu al kal Hashem. Who do you think you are? I'm the boss. You're the boss. My opinion. Your opinion. You know, they lowered their heads. Meaning, let's get out of the politics and get and attach right back to the Shemayim. That's what this Haggadah says. Okay, let's leave it here. Once again, Sunday I won't be here. But next Thursday, we'll finish our Parakit test.